Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Congressman O'Rourke, some Democrats want a marginal individual tax rate of 70% on the very highest earners, those making more than $10 million a year. Would you support that?
This economy has got to work for everyone. Necesitamos incluir cada persona en el éxito de esta economía. Pero si queremos hacer eso, necesitamos incluir cada persona en nuestra democracia.
Oh, my God. That was insufferable last night. I went in with, hey, you know what? Maybe somebody's going to stand out. Maybe somebody is going to do something that surprises me. I tell everybody this, and I continue, and I know people argue with me all the time. You're this or you're that. They're always trying to put a label on me. Stop that. Look, I am who I am. I'm independent. I'm a free agent. Impress me. Trump's got another year and a half to impress me. Democrats, you got a year and a half to impress me. Last night was awful. And that bizarre, weird way that they're trying to out-left each other, trying to out-social justice worry each other, and that bizarre Spanish thing that Beto was doing, it reminded me of something from my childhood. When and if you've ever been to Disneyland, Jack Wagner is the voice of Disneyland. And he's got a famous saying that has gone around the world, have been on albums, and it just reminded me of that at the Matterhorn.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
You know who won last night? Trump and Biden. You know who lost last night? The Democratic Party. They did. Nothing last night. Nothing last night was about real America. It wasn't. Minus a bit of a healthcare battle, everything else was pandering upon pandering upon pandering upon pandering, and they all have groupthink minus one or two things. Just once, I would love somebody to come on stage and be absolutely honest. Hey, I'm not solving all your problems, and neither are any of these people. And we're going to have to battle with the other party at times, and we're going to have to give in a little bit. And we're going to get a little bit. And we're going to move the ball, hopefully, forward a little bit. That's it. Not going to bankrupt our country so we can have $45 light bulbs and hopefully a little bit cleaner air. I mean, there's just, it's insane. And watching it last night, I sat there and I thought to myself, Trump won. He tweeted one thing that was boring. And he's right. He's absolutely right. That's exactly what it was. And there, I said it. Nobody on that stage has a chance to beat Trump. Now, tonight may be different, but nobody on that stage last night, especially if the economy stays strong, has a chance to beat Trump. They just don't. No way. Donnie Deutsch and Lawrence O'Donnell afterwards got into it because Donnie Deutsch was actually honest, and we hate that.
I do not believe Elizabeth Warren on stage with Donald Trump beats him. And I think if we're honest with ourselves and we look hard at ourselves, I think a lot of people agree with me. And I also think when you can label somebody a socialist, 57% of this country thinks that word is un-American. I'm not saying it's fair. When he can blanket Elizabeth Warren as a socialist and he's on stage with her, the Democrats lose.
Yes. Yes. He's just being honest. That's what honesty looks like right there. We hate it, right? Because much like what you saw in the debate last night, we don't want honesty. We want your crazy, wild ideas that will never come to fruition in the way that you would love to have them, in the way that you make it sound so easy as if you have a magic wand. We want you to tell us all the things we want to hear. We don't want you to be honest. Honesty is, based on last night, no. I saw somebody today who cannot stand Trump. Cannot stand Trump. And we joke about it every single day, all the stuff. He said to me, and I quote, if Trump died tomorrow, he'd still beat everybody on that stage.
I think she's delightful. I think she's wonderful. I'm a big fan. I just don't think she has what it takes to beat this president the same way, at least an idealized version of Joe Biden is. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just facts. We got to get Trump out. I'm still sticking with an idealized version of the Joe Biden we want. OK, if Joe Biden we want and then you pair him with the right candidate, yes. I still, in my heart of hearts, don't see anybody on that stage tonight that would beat Trump.
Oh, he's absolutely right. And nobody on that stage. There's nobody on that stage last night. Zero. Tulsi Gabbard, I liked. I thought she handled herself and acquitted herself very well, right? Julio Castro had a bit of a moment here or there, but the reality is some of the stuff he said afterwards was shh. And then when it came to the rest, I mean, Elizabeth Warren didn't hurt herself, but she didn't really separate herself. She played last night not to lose. She played prevent defense. She said everything that she, you can put it down. Nobody last night stepped out. Tim Ryan had his moments, but for every one moment he said, you thought, when he talked about the elitists of the coastal side and how America is being forgotten, the center of America, the Democrats that are, just Democrats, then he would take 3 steps forward and then 80 steps backwards. And then he'd take another step forward and then 20 steps backwards. But nobody. So Lawrence O'Donnell sitting there with Donnie Deutsch and him get into it.
Let's just identify this for what it is.
And then we have that
pure guesswork, a year and a half away from the guess point.
Absolutely.
And so it has, and Donnie, I say this respectfully, zero value.
Don't tell me it has zero value.
Zero value.
Don't tell me it has zero value. It's understanding human behavior.
It's a guess. It's a wild guess, Donnie.
It's not.
First of all, if it has zero value, if you really believe that, Lawrence O'Donnell, then why do you have anybody on here talking about the debate afterwards? If it has no value. Just curious. If none of what he is saying, right, you invited him. And if none of what he is saying has any value, then why'd you invite him? Because what he did was told the truth, and you don't want to hear the truth. You don't. I had Democrats who were texting me last night, who text me on a daily basis to tell me how horrible and awful I am, and all they kept saying is, this is embarrassing. And I was like, really? Wow, if you're saying that. And then one of them, who can't stand Trump, says, I'll be honest, I missed the Trump debates where he goes, I wish somebody would call somebody a name.
It's understanding human behavior, and I guarantee you 90% of our audience
It's a wild
agrees
guess.
with me.
There's no science in it. There's nothing in it.
There's no science in any of this.
And no one can make it. You can put any name you want in the wild guess that you just made, and it doesn't make it
I
true.
am understanding what Donald Trump, the way he connects with this country and the strength he exudes. We need to exude a stronger strength. It's not a policy
This is the
discussion.
pure guesswork section of the discussion.
This is a guy who's done this for 30 years and watched human behavior.
Now then.
Yeah, and he's right. Donnie's right. You may not like Donnie Deutsch, can't stand Trump. That was his business, advertising. He understands human behavior. That's what, I've always said Donald Trump is a salesman. He won last night. Biden won last night because nobody attacked him. They didn't really attack each other. It was just groupthink. That's all it was. Nobody really separating from another person. Nobody taking chances, right? Nobody getting out there and saying something that you thought, okay, look, you've got my interest here a little bit. They needed to do better. Tonight's going to be much different. Tonight, you've got Kamala Harris. You've got Buttigieg. You've got, Biden and Bernie. And is there going to be somebody else that is going to be able to step forward and make it uncomfortable for them? Last night, I thought Tulsi did good. I thought Castro did okay. And I know both him and his brother when I was in San Antonio. They're good guys. But this, it just last night was, and the pandering, man, I got to be honest with you. Just let's be straight, right? Let's be straight for a second. You're not going to get done all you want to get done. You're going to have roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to find out what politics is really like and how it get played in a way that you've never believed if you're president of the United States. And it only takes one or two people from the other party or even from your party to stop all the things that you want to do. There is a lot of stuff that you sit back here and magically I think people want all of these people to fix they're not going to fix everything. They're not. they can ruin a lot more than they can help in so many ways. And I blame that on the voter. Man, I look out there and I think I see a lot of people out there who believe that somehow magically that we elect the right person here and put the right person there, that somehow all problems are going to be taken away. And that's not true. It's not. If you, and the perfect example of what's going on with immigration is everything you need to know. Senate passes a bill 84-8. There's not 84 Republicans, so it's bipartisan. Pelosi says even before the Senate does, I'm not going to take up their bill. Not going to do it. Shows you everything you need to know. It's about party over people. And you'll find that. And that frustration. But based on what I saw last night, if you're a Democrat, you better hope tonight turns out a little bit better, because if that's what you have going forward and that's not going to be improving in any way, shape, or form, it's going to be a long 6 years for you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So much stuff. We'll break down some of the insanity that was last night. And by the way, bye-bye, Beto. Robert O'Rourke has to go. He has blown his chance, and he was just pathetic. I think we can agree the biggest loser last night of the 10 on there, it was Bob O'Rourke, Tim Ryan, and then it's a crapshoot from there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. I want to hear from you. What'd you think last night? Did you find any of it interesting if you watched any of it? Did you find it pandering? Did you find, are you hopeful that tonight may be better? Tweet at me. You can text me as well. Guys are terrible at taking care of ourselves. Roman, GetRoman.com/Benson. It's a free online visit. If you're having trouble in the bedroom, if you're having ED, you talk to a doctor from your house, a licensed U.S. physician. You're going to get medication sent to your door. Guys, come on. Everybody in the world's going to have issues at some point in time, and it's never been easier than this. There's no waiting room. There's no hassle, and they'll even ship it directly to your door. It is that simple. You fill out a form, you talk to a doctor right from the comfort of your home, and then they can ship packaging to you unmarked. Check it out for yourself. GetRoman.com/Benson. 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 At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui!
Fui, fui, and double fui!
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too!
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
More Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week compared to the week prior. The Labor Department says first-time applications increased 10,000 to a seasonally adjusted 227,000 for the week ending June 22nd. And it revised the previous week, adding 1,000 more applications than first reported. The rise was higher than expected, but analysts say there are no indications there is a pickup in layoffs, even as the economy is showing some signs of slowing.
Yeah, that's the first quarter, by the way, they're looking at 3.1 is what it's going to sit on. So it still looks strong. And for all of the talk about, based on what we saw last night, and who knows what we're going to see tonight in the first round of what is going to be, it's going to seem at times like it's a long time, but it's really short, because these people are going to start be weeding out in the Democratic battlegrounds here, and you'll end up with a very few, and it will ramp up very, very fast. But for all of this talk about based on what we see and how they act, and God, how dull some of them are, and the just the frustration I think a lot of people feel with politics and with who the choices are, and Trump will destroy every one of them, and the reality is, based on last night, that's probably very true. The economy is still Trump's biggest enemy. And it's his biggest friend. If the economy stays strong, If it stays like it is, it doesn't have to just continue to go down like a freight train and just continue to, if it just stays like it is, maybe it dips a little bit and it comes back and then goes up a little bit. It doesn't have to have an explosion of growth. If it stays like it is, he's tough to beat. He is absolutely going to be, he's going to be a beast. Like it or not, he's going to be a beast to beat. And it's not just the cult of personality. There's a lot of other things. But we're still a vote by economy. And people say, well, we care about healthcare. Yes, we care about healthcare, but we care about what? The price of healthcare. We want to have control of our healthcare, but we care about the price, which is tied into the economy. The economy's good. Chances are you're working. If you're working, chances are you've got what? 178 million people have employee and employer health care. All of it is tied in so many ways to the things that matter to us across the board. Speaking of what matters to us.
Chances are you either are or have seen one of the millions of people on this planet who play Candy Crush, because 270 million people play that game on their mobile phones, and 9.2 million people play for 3 to 6 hours a day.
Sugar Crush.
The numbers come from a senior executive at the company that makes Candy Crush. He shared them with a parliamentary committee in the UK, and also said one player spent $2,600 in one day on an in-game purchase to help him play faster. The executive also testified he doesn't believe there's an addiction problem among Candy Crush players.
$2,600. I made one in-game purchase, and that was for Jack when he's playing PUBG. That was it. That's it. And he's never won anything else. But I hear the microtransactions on these games are so massive, and they add up when you think about the tens of millions of people playing them, and that everybody could be spending on average about $3, $4, $5 a month. Oh, it adds up fast. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. AOC's angry about the immigration bill that's passed. Let's touch on that, and we'll talk about the reality compared to the craziness in politics. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm going to give you a prediction. Are you ready for a prediction? The day is coming soon here in Miami-Dade where you will win this struggle once and for all. Once and for all. You will win. Hasta la victoria siempre. Brothers and sisters, we will be with you every step of the way.
Oh, Bill de Blasio. Here's this is a perfect example today of what the reality is compared to what the insanity is. So last night you had everybody up there who was doing what they did, and they're giving everything away, and they pandered, and they did all those things. That was afterwards last night. That's Bill de Blasio. He is in Miami. He was on stage. He didn't speak Spanish. What he just said there was hasta la victoria siempre, which means until victory always, which is a Che Guevara rally and quote that he used to use all the time in the 59 Revolution. Talk about being completely disconnected. First of all, you're in Miami. What is Miami really known for besides the nightlife, the fun, the beauty, the beaches, and all that stuff? Having a lot of Cuban immigrants. Why? Because they fled a country where somebody like Che Guevara and Castro decided to go in, and what did they do? They enslaved and destroyed a nation which is still struggling. And that's what he says. The disconnect. Today, AOC, right? Somebody got totally mad at me because I posted a picture of the Ocasio-Cortez crying. She's in her white outfit, and she's at the border fence, or not the fence, but the fence where the kids are detained. And somebody posted a picture that was there, and I guess they said, hey, just to let everybody know that these people are standing here, but the only thing in front of them is an empty parking lot. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And I looked at it, I'm like, well, that's true. That's all we can see. And I said that, it's just, you look at something and say, different angles, see different things. And people attack me for it. And they said, well, why would you do something like that? I said, are you mad at me? Or are you mad at the fact that maybe, just maybe, those tears weren't real and this was a photo op? Which means you're mad at yourself because you bought into it. But there's the disconnect in a lot of things, right? It's the perception side of things. For whatever reason, this group of people that is running for president thinks they have to go so far left. Let me tell you, the blue wave, the tsunami that happened in November, it wasn't because of AOC, Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar. You know who it was because? Because middle America chose moderate Democrats, which is what most Democrats are. They're moderate. They even have at times some conservative ideas. You'd almost say, oh, that's not, yeah, it's true. It is true. The majority of them that won, and I'm talking about the vast majority, very moderate. They're the ones who pushed this. So today they passed the bill. The bill gets passed. AOC jumps on with Jake Tapper, talks about the bill, and she's pissed.
And that bill, as you know, passed 84-8 in the Senate. A lot of liberal Democrats voted for it. Explain why you're taking such a strong stance here.
We passed a House version of this bill, which had far more humanitarian provisions and accountability for the facilities that are abusing kids at our border. And Mitch McConnell immediately smacked it down in order to pass and ram through a Senate bill that has an enormous amount of funding for military, as well as no guardrails and no accountability for facilities that are abusing our kids.
Remember, these are Democrats in the Senate that voted for this bill. Democrats who are angry. And I've been telling you guys this. There's 4 parties. We just don't see them because each party has 2 parties inside of it. You have the uber progressive who are loud, who get the majority of face time. And the reason for that is pretty simplistic because they're interesting. They're going to cause controversy. Right? AOC is going to get the right pissed off and the left to cheer, and oh my God, it causes controversy. Middle American Democrat doing his job or her job, fighting the good fight in D.C. isn't causing controversy. Same thing on the right. Person doing their job, going, fighting the good fight, isn't going to get the same kind of hate or love that somebody on the far right shouting from the loudest who has the bully pulpit because they're not interesting. So she's pissed about this. And quite frankly, they're mad, not at Republicans. I mean, Mitch McConnell, but they're always mad at Mitch McConnell. They're mad at Democrats for voting with this. That's the funny thing.
We didn't even bother to negotiate to get consequences for facilities that abuse kids in. And instead what we're doing is that we're immediately going to just saying yes to what got passed out of the Senate.
But Congresswoman, didn't you vote against the House version too?
I did. I believe that really what we should ideally be doing is passing a pure humanitarian bill to get money straight to those kids.
Now, that's one thing I said over the last couple of days. They can always pass a clean bill, but that doesn't deal with the other stuff that needs to be funded as far as the border goes. That's the thing that people are leaving out. There were other things that the border, ICE, the patrol needs. This wasn't strictly just about the kids. And he presses her on this. And again, she voted no on the bill that she said we had more restrictions on that bill. But you didn't vote for that bill. You didn't like that bill either.
Well, if you oppose the Senate bill and you also oppose the House bill, I guess I'm wondering what it is that you're willing to support that could pass in either the House or the Senate.
Pass just the money for these kids. In addition, if the president wanted to, he could declare an emergency right now and get that money to those kids. But he will not lift a finger in the same capacity in order to get toothpaste to those kids. Pass a pure humanitarian bill.
But you weren't voting for any bill because you didn't like it. Jayapal from Washington came out. Same thing. She said, I'm mad at Democrats. Ilhan Omar, all mad at Democrats. The other Democrats are like, well, we outnumber you. Here it is. You want the truth? It's a numbers game. And they didn't want to play politics anymore because they thought it was BS. They did. $4.6 billion in funding, including money for the Department of Defense and Immigration and Customs Enforcement that some Democrats opposed. The majority of the money in humanitarian aid is to be allocated to the Department of Health and Human Services for the Office of Refugee Settlement. If they didn't get this money on Sunday, they would have had no more money. So you think they're struggling now? They would have had nothing. Nothing. Frustrated, yeah. But here's the thing. A lot of this stuff could have been taken care of. And I saw Tom Homan today. He was talking, and this was a guy who was appointed by by Obama. And he finally said, you guys talk about all these cages you see, right? First of all, they weren't designed to be cages in the way that you think they are. They were built on Obama's watch. Secondly, they weren't designed, and none of this was designed to house kids. Nobody wants to know the truth. I'm telling you guys the truth. And if I'm a Democrat and I'm seeing what's going on and I'm seeing how things are playing, and I'm going to be on that stage tonight, I'm asking myself the question. Majority of Americans aren't the coastal elites as far as the Democrat that I'm going to need to vote, because they're going to vote. Let's be real. You need everybody. You need all hands on deck, right? You do. So if a few got voted in, a smidge of uber progressives got voted in, but the majority of the new people that are currently representing the Democrats in Congress, the Senate, the majority of them are just average, run-of-the-mill Democrats, union members, things like that. If that's who put them in, and that's who the majority of Americans look to when they think of what a Democrat is, me giving everything away, me doing some of this stuff, me talking about all these things, maybe that isn't the way to go. Hence the reason why Joe Biden and a lot of people are pinning their hopes on him, because I think the reality is, in the end, I don't think you'll get the same radical craziness as far as like what we saw with Trump, where he built this base and this cult of personality. You're not going to get the same thing on the left side for somebody who's so far left that their ideals and their ideas and their thought process just misses mainstream Democrats. And it does. Man, it does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. This is very interesting. I was talking to producer Phil about this earlier. We are angrier than we've ever been, according to a bunch of new polls that are out there. And politics is just the worst place at times, and it really is. And there is a mayor, a former mayor, by the way, a former mayor in Lexington, Missouri, who quit. He said, the recent attacks and hatred and outright lies that have been hurled at my direction on Facebook by some citizens of this community are absolutely disgusting, and I honestly believe do not represent the majority. I will address a number of those myself later tonight. However, I did not sign up for this mess, or possibly I did and just didn't realize how mean people could be. Either way, it's no longer worth the battle. So he quit. He said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. This isn't one I signed up for. Yeah. It's tough, man. Like, people get mad at me because here's a perfect example of, because I get a lot of crap all day long. I really don't care because I always, who's the messenger? Somebody with 8 followers sends you something horrible. You're like, whatever. But the reality is I say something nice about AOC, right? Like, I like what her and Ted Cruz are trying to do with lobbying. I think it's a really good thing. Same thing with mushrooms and depression. I think that's a really good thing. I'll get 25 tweets over the next 12 hours telling me what a horrible person I am for even saying anything because she's a moron, right? I talked about I like the Hickenlooper. I want to see what he's going to do. What do I get over and over again? You're a scumbag. I got somebody the other day because I said, I said, it would be interesting to see Nikki Haley. And we talked about that whole thing with that op-ed piece. I had 2 people who told me what a horrible Christian I am, right? And that he is very dynamic, and I have never just seen it, and that I'm a lefty lunatic, and then a bunch of other just horrific things, and I just laughed my ass off. I think the thing is, you think you're going to do something, right? You think you know what you're getting into, and you don't know. And some people, are made for it. Some people can take the hits and all of that stuff, and other people can't. But the average person, this is the sad thing is this world right now with social media and the insanity and the way it's going is a big reason. While the average person wants nothing to do with getting into politics. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. You tweet at us. Thousands of dogs are being euthanized every day. What you guys listen to this company I'm working with, Wounded Paw Project, is so incredible in what they're doing. They realized there was a need. The veteran who put this organization together was struggling after coming back injured from Iraq. And guess what? It was a dog who pulled him through it. He saw the need, and he decided, let's do this together. He rescues dogs from shelters where they're going to be killed, euthanized. He trains them to become service dogs. And then he gets them to veterans, first responders, and their family. But I tell you right now, he needs your help. They need your help. Not only are you saving a paw, you're saving a life. And what it does to change people's lives and this animal's life is just amazing. Check it out for yourself at woundedpawproject.org. Now, what they're looking for is any vehicles you're not using, car, truck, RV, boat. You're going to get an amazing tax-deductible gift. They even take cash. Whatever you have, $5 or a car, they'll take it. It is amazing what they're doing. And when you see what they're doing, it's hard not to get behind it. WoundedPawProject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. Saving a paw to save a life. WoundedPawProject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
Google adds a new Maps feature, which might make taxi and rideshare trips safer. XDA developers based in India first noticed the new feature appearing on their Google Maps app. The new Stay Safer mode gives you an alert on your phone if the driver of your taxi or rideshare vehicle strays more than a third of the mile off route. This could prevent passengers from being taken somewhere other than their chosen destination, and it could also stop riders from being tricked into longer trips and paying higher fares.
Which is awesome. Especially because what? There doesn't seem to be a day that goes by that we don't have something where somebody gets into a taxi, a ride share, something like that, and something happens. And that's like a smart feature. There's the beauty of technology. We saw the ugly face of technology with attacking each other, yelling at each other, the whole 9 yards. And the beauty of technology is something like that. Like that right there, you're like, that's cool. You could totally, that's a big win right there. Does it mean that you're going to save anybody if something bad happens? No. But what it does mean is the chances of, quite frankly, if somebody was to be kidnapped or if something was happening, that would be like just almost immediate. And with technology growing, that's going to be a better thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from every single one of you. So I try to answer everybody back. So Amazon Prime is doing their Prime thing, and in eBay is going to be doing their like piggybacking on it. And the thing that made me laugh about eBay is this article and reports that all of the stuff from the new Star Wars land. So you got the Star Wars land out there in Anaheim, the new thing, and it's hours and hours. People are waiting to get in line and do all this stuff. If it's not nailed down, people are stealing it. And then it's ending up on eBay and anywhere else you could sell stuff and even stuff that's free, like a map or something, people are going and instead of taking one, they're taking dozens because they're selling them and it's free and it's like $6 they're getting from because people are so obsessed, but they're just saying that they're stealing everything they can. If it's not nailed down, they're taking it because people are obsessed. That's one of those things. Like I flipped around every once in a while, like the Pawn Star people will be on and I'll watch that. And anytime they have some real Disney stuff, because the collectors out there are just so into it. Talk about building something, right? Like just, whoa. Like there's a brand right there. I often wonder this. Because if you know anything about Walt, Walt was a different kind of character, to say the least. Not all of it was true, but some of it was true. I wonder if he was here today in his wokeness and his non-wokeness, what that would be like. And would people, and if he said something, and of course they utter stuff all the time about things that he had said, but I don't see anybody stopping going to Disneyland. It's like In-N-Out Burger when they tried to boycott that in California. People are like, nah, sorry. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. You tweet at us. Check out the Instagram as well. Got a funny picture up there about don't let Texas become California. Check it out. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Feel the burn, make them feel the burn, so the haters on the left, they can feel the burn.
Millions and millions of working people.
Oh, who feeling the burn right now? You are. You should probably take some penicillin. You shouldn't do that. We are getting ready for what I don't even know what I don't know what tonight will be based on last night. Based on what I saw last night on stage in Miami, nobody's beating Trump. No. And people get mad, and like Donnie Deutsch said it, right? Like, so Donnie Deutsch comes out and talks about he doesn't see, who's going to beat him. And then, and they're so, well, what about Elizabeth Warren?
I think she's delightful. I think she's wonderful. I'm a big fan. I just don't think she has what it takes to beat this president the same way, at least an idealized version of Joe Biden is. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just facts. We got to get Trump out. I'm still sticking with an idealized version of the Joe Biden we want. Okay, if Joe Biden we want, and then you pair him with the right candidate, yes. I still, in my heart of hearts, don't see anybody on that stage tonight that would beat Trump.
No. I do not see anybody on that stage, at least last night. I don't know about tonight. The pandering, as we all know, is ridiculous. I'm sure tonight we'll see a lot more pandering. I think we'll also see a little bit more grown up, because I think they'll look and realize that there's been a lot of people that have come out and that have made fun of just how left it went and how ridiculous at times it was, and the Spanish and all that stuff. Marianne Williamson, actually, who's going to be on stage tonight, she said, oh, my God, I've got 24 hours to learn Spanish. That was a tweet I saw. Somebody says, poor Bernie has 24 hours to learn Spanish because of how wacky it was. So, Donnie Deutsch goes out and says that, and he gets hammered, and then they fight and argue back and forth with one another, which is just always fun. He's right. And this is one of the things I look at. I look at strength. Like, you want to follow a leader, right? Like, there's going to be a person who's going to be the leader, whether people want to believe it or not. I mean, you've got people at work who they're leaders. There's a reason that every sports team, somebody has a captain's armband. They're leaders. I looked on stage last night and said, who, answer me this question honestly. Out of everybody who was on stage last night, we'll get rid of a few of them just because they were buffoons. But let's just take a few of them and say Bill de Blasio, Beto O'Rourke, Julian Castro, Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard. Who are you following? If I had to choose, Tulsi Gabbard. Not following any of those other ones. Beto's a buffoon. Castro is, I knew him and his brother when I was in San Antonio. I don't know. He's a pander smurf as well, and it's ridiculous. De Blasio is a buffoon, and Beto O'Rourke is done. Who are you following? I look at Elizabeth, and you're down to the final two. And my thing is, if I have to follow between Warren and even Klobuchar, or Gabbard, I'm not following Elizabeth Warren. She doesn't inspire. She doesn't. None of it is inspiring. And she was last night. She didn't take control. She didn't dominate. She didn't lose. She did okay for the first bit, and then there. So tonight you got a new group. And ask yourself the question, is Bernie inspire? His ideas may sound exciting, right? Like there's a great article today about climate change, because climate change is a big thing. So there's a great article about climate change and how we really view some of these things. So it's in Reuters and Ipso, and this was pretty much a split even across the board as far as independents, Republicans, and Democrats. 70% say, God, we would all love cleaner energy. But nobody wants to pay for it. At most, the average person wants to spend about $100 a year. Like a lot of things, all of it sounds great till you have to pay for it. So all of these ideals that they're putting out there sound great, but, you got to fight for them. You got to go to battle. You've got to be able to get your point across. You've got to be able to inspire. The ideas may get some people excited, but then the reality comes in on how you're going to pay for it. And then you're like, oh, my God. And then followed by what? I got to sell this. That's what Trump does, man. That's the cult of personality. That's what Trump has. And based on last night, tonight may be different. But I look out there tonight, you got Hickenlooper, who some of the stuff he has said, I've enjoyed, right? And he's a serial entrepreneur. He's a smart guy. But I look at him, and this is how little known he is. Yesterday, when they were going through the motions on how this whole thing works and where everybody's going to be set up, somebody told him he needs to get off the stage because this is for candidates, and they thought he was a media personality. That's not a helper for you, right? So really, what you have tonight is you got Buttigieg, you've got Bernie, Harris, and Biden. Biden's looking old. He is. Bernie's pissed because Elizabeth is stealing his thunder, and she's coming with actual policy and not wishes. Even though those policies just at times just like, okay, it's probably unconstitutional, but at least it's better than what Bernie is, which is, I'm going to take a magic wand and You got Kamala Harris, who was a hell of a prosecutor, and for that she feels sorry. And you've got Buttigieg, who everybody makes fun of as the gay teenager. Who inspires? That's a big thing. The cult of personality. Don't underestimate how important that is. Because in the end, the president is anymore the biggest salesperson in America. Because they have to sell their ideas to the American people and to other politicians. Can they do that? And do I think that any one of them that I saw last night can sell anything? No, I don't think they can sell it. And I want you guys to picture this. Elizabeth Warren, Donald Trump on a stage. Soak that in for a second. Because if it gets into a shouting match and a debating match and it's hardcore and he ends up getting a one-over, he'll be called sexist, this, that, and the other. But in the back of people's minds, people will go, it's a stronger candidate, though. Yeah. People don't want to hear it, but it's true. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. The immigration funding is finally here. A bill has finally been passed reluctantly.
On this vote, the yeas are 305.
Yay!
The nays are 102. Oh. The motion is adopted.
Yeah. People are pissed about it, in particular Democrats, because they didn't like that other Democrats in the Senate went for it and that they rejected it in the House even before it was voted on. But some last-minute maneuvering and Nancy starting to realize that there are a lot of Democrats in her House that want this thing done, that were sick and tired of the politics, sick and tired of the stuff that's going on and the fight that's happening, and wanted this thing done. Other people are angry. Most of them are a small few who get a lot of FaceTime. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Tlaib, Jayapal, uber progressive, represent coastal communities for all intents and purposes. But it shows you that there's a disconnect even amongst the party, just like with the Republicans. You got the Christian conservatives and the people that are so far behind Trump that it's a cult, and you've got a lot of other people who, because he's a Republican, you somewhat support him, but you're not thrilled by him. If there was a better option, you'd probably run for that. But they're not happy with it because they wanted something else. Funny thing is, I never hear what exactly it is what they want. Like, I'm curious of what it is that you want. Like, what exactly is? Like, last night they debated all kinds of crap. And, okay, so you got immigration. So we're going to decriminalize immigration. We're going to make it a civil offense. So I'm saying, so what exactly does that mean? So somebody comes across the border who's got no money and we're now going to fine them? It's out of touch. And that's the funny thing. When you watch that last night, you've got the cheering throngs. But what they are is they're out of touch with even mainstream Democrats. They're out of touch. And I don't think they understand that. And that's why I think Joe's occupying the lane that Joe's most comfortable in. And if I'm Joe and they can wake me up before this starts, I mean, he's probably taking a nap. You don't know what he's doing. There's going to be a lot of those tonight. There's going to be a lot of those. I want to see if he's got energy. I got to be honest with you. Bernie's going and going. It's the beauty of Bernie. I look at Joe, and I don't know if he's go Joe. That's my big fear. And somebody who can't stand Trump, who works with me, and who is a Democrat, and said, first of all, he laughed at last night, said that was awful. Second thing he said, and that I thought was, he's like, I don't know if Joe can go to distance. That's my big fear, is every time I see him, he looks more and more tired. And don't think that that's not going to be brought up at some point in time tonight. And I want to see how that goes over. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Should be interesting. We'll see. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight, or is it going to be the kind of thing where, OJ can comment it?
O.J. Simpson tweeting about the Democratic debate, even though as a felon in Nevada, he can't vote.
Waiting to watch this debate, to hear a bunch of people who think they're capable of running our country. It should be interesting because, to be honest, I don't know most of these guys.
Simpson concluding his video by saying every American should be watching this.
Well, he's been in prison, so how would he know these guys?
I don't know some of these people. That's the problem. It's good to know OJ's keeping up with things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
So yes, I'm with Bernie on Medicare for All, and let me tell you why. I've spent a big chunk of my life studying why families go broke. And one of the number one reasons is the cost of health care, medical bills. And that's not just for people who don't have insurance. It's for people who have insurance. There are a lot of politicians who say, oh, it's just not possible. We just can't do it. It's have a lot of political reasons for this. What they're really telling you is they just won't fight for it. Well, health care is a basic human right, and I will fight for basic human rights.
Here's my thing about healthcare, and everybody talks about, I'm going to get rid of this, and we're going to get rid of that, and we're only going to have the government run healthcare. I want everybody to soak this up for a second. If you think that healthcare is going to become cheaper, think about this for a moment. Think about the industrial complex of the military world. Are those things cheaper? Really? Are they? Because the government doesn't say do this, do that. What the government does is it hands you a blank check. So I want everybody to soak that in. It's and look, while I'm not a fan of any kind of government-run health care, just because of that, just because of the ridiculousness of the way that I know they're going to jack it up. I also want everybody to take a step back and go, yeah, wait a minute here. We tend to overspend on all kinds of stuff. And we buy stuff we don't need. All I picture is us having long waits at places, semi-adequate care to not good care at all. And, my favorite thing is warehouse after warehouses of things that we've spent God knows how much on that have absolutely no use whatsoever, because whatever that we spend it on and for, whatever disease or sickness has been essentially either eradicated or they found something new, but we're still ordering them to the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars. Kind of like the military. So soak it up for just a sec, because that's what I feel is coming. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. And you tweet at me. I love when people say, somebody's tweeted in and said, Donald didn't win the popular vote. I'm like, but who's the champion? Right? Whether you like him or not, he didn't win the popular vote. He's absolutely right. And it wasn't stolen from him. It wasn't voter fraud. But the W went next to his name. That's it. That's all that matters, right? Hillary would have taken the loss in the popular to win the electoral. I promise you that. I do. So soak it up for a second. Soak it up. Again, a lot could happen between now and November of next year, especially with the economy. Absolutely with the economy. But it'll be very interesting to see the way that this plays itself out, in the sense that I want to see who's going to be, you narrow it down to the last 4 or 5. And I'll tell you one thing, too, and this is something that I think is that may be even more important than ever before, who the vice president candidate will be on the left side of the aisle may play a huge part in this as well. And I think that hasn't been stated enough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And when the topic turned to the border crisis, Booker took Beto's Spanish and raised him mucho más.
La situación ahora es inaceptable. Este presidente ha atacado, ha demonizado los inmigrantes. Es inaceptable y voy a cambiar este.
Oh, snap! It is on! It is on! It is an Espanol off! Or as they say in Spanish, grupo de idiotas.
You know why? Because Colbert, who can't stand Trump, realized last night it was awful. It was so bad. And again, there were bits and pieces. And it's hard to figure out who's who in a situation like this as far as what they believe. But they all believe the same thing. They all believe virtually the same thing with a small few things here and there. And it's just, I said last night, for all the talk of diversity, I don't see a lot of diversity on stage. I saw a lot of pandering last night. And I often wonder, and I ask myself, do people buy into that? Right? Do you buy, is anything a politician, I'm going to make your life better? No, you're not. First of all, I'm in charge of my life. So the destiny in my life is going to be my own. And that's what I want. Right? I don't want you to guarantee me an equal outcome, right? I'm going to do my own thing. So I'm going to try, and if I fail, I fail. But the pandering is tremendous. And last night, it got to the point where we were just narrowing down to the smallest margin. And this right here says everything. If you listen to nothing else about last night, you'd be like, that's all I needed to hear, Chad.
Civil rights is someplace to begin. We do not talk enough about trans Americans, especially African American trans Americans, and the incredibly high rates of murder right now.
I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. Is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose.
Okay, so African American, trans American. That's a lot right there. And then my favorite was, if you're a trans female and you would like to have an abortion, so you are a male, but you've become a female, and you would like to have an abortion, you can have one. I'm gonna point that out to you again. So you're born a male, right? With the bits, right? You got the dangly bits, right? Right? The twig and whatnot. Then you decide somewhere, it's all wrong, and you go from Larry to Linda. So now you identify as Linda. So you're a trans female. Still have the dangly bit? Maybe even you don't have the dangly bit, but you got the inside, right? And you decide, I need to have an abortion because I'm pregnant. You can do that, except for the part where you can't do that, because scientifically, you can't do that. Pointing that out. Want you to understand. Let's soak that up again. Anthony and I had to talk about the trans thing today, and this whole debate last night. And I said, his producer Anthony and I, we're talking about this. And at some point in time, I just said, this is why. This right here is insane. You got to ask. I don't care anymore. I'm not following along. It's the who's on first of bizarreness. And let me ask you a question. You're middle America, right? You're a union member in, as Tim Ryan talked a lot about, Youngstown, Ohio, right? In Boise, Idaho, right? In Redding, California. And you're a Democrat, and you're watching this, and you're listening to all of this, and you're saying to yourself, none of this really pertains to me, minus the debate about health care. And even then, what? It just wasn't good. And you had a chance to separate. Again, Biden and Trump won last night. Biden and Trump won. And I'm kind of disappointed. I thought Elizabeth Warren would come out and slap everybody down. And she didn't. But based on last night, Trump had to be sleeping right on his way to Japan. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. The immigration fight is still going on. And, of course, the picture that's out there of the father and daughter, all of this stuff is ramping up the debate. And a debate which, when it comes to what's going on at the detention centers, we should be sorting this out in a real way. But it's hard, and it shows you what politics is all about when you've got a Senate has a bipartisan plan that's shot down before it ever gets anywhere by Nancy Pelosi because she wants to do her thing. She can't even get along in her own caucus. And you just step back and you shake your head.
This morning, we learned that another family, a woman, a toddler, and 2 infants were found dead on the U.S. side of the border just off the Rio Grande. Migrants have long hoped the Rio Grande would carry them into the U.S., but this Mexican PSA released Tuesday warning the river's currents could also kill them.
No te cruces por el río.
The warnings followed the haunting image. Oscar Ramirez, his daughter Valeria, tucked into his shirt, her arm draped over his neck, drowned on the banks of the Rio Grande.
Yeah. And by the way, the currents are bad. There's a few rivers out there where you can get into bad situations, and people have been drowning on the Rio Grande for a very, very long time. But this was a haunting image, and it went worldwide. And it brings back the debate of what are we doing in this situation? Well, we're doing nothing. Because of the fact that politicians, that there's a much bigger thing at play between making sure the other side doesn't have a chance to win, which is a very vital thing in this day and age, apparently, and also making sure that you keep your importance for your base and you keep your fiefdom because you like the power and you need the money and it's a great way to raise money. Not a lot's being done. And I said a few months ago, I said, look, let me tell you how politics is going to go in the future, at least for the foreseeable future. You have to have everything on your side. You have to have the presidency. You have to have the House. And in many cases, you're going to have, God willing, the courts, because everything's going to get challenged. It doesn't matter what it is. Somebody's going to challenge something along the way. So you'd like to have all of it. But you need everything on your side. You need the Senate, you need the House. You need the presidency. And then who knows? It could be a crapshoot from them when it comes to the courts, but it'd be nice to get anything done. And you get one shot at stuff, right? Obama, people talk about Trump. Oh, what has he done with it? What did Obama do with immigration? I'm just curious. Anybody? You get one chance at something, and then usually you'll pay the price for it. Tax cuts? Well, why? Because they couldn't figure out what to do with Obamacare, so they flailed. That's what they tried first. So they went to tax cuts, and then they paid the price for it. Obama did Obamacare, the ACA, and then for 8 years, his party paid the price for it. So you get one chance at doing something. So essentially, is everything perfect so we can do something? Because if it is, we'll get something done. If it's not, this is what you're going to get. This right here. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Let's change to something that really matters to each and to every one of us. Shopping.
For the 5th straight year, Amazon is gearing up for its summer spurt of price drops. Think Christmas in July, with online doorbuster deals similar to Black Friday. The e-commerce giant promising bargain hunters a slew of sales that for the first time will stretch over 2 days instead of just one. A showcase of the latest products and hottest trends in the making, the company could have some competition this year. eBay will piggyback on the first day of Prime, July 15th, for what it's calling a crash sale, a place for shoppers to go if Amazon's website gets overwhelmed.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Because I enjoy it. I'll go shop the hell out of it. And, it's that half Christmas thing I saw yesterday. Like one of the big radio companies sent out something like, it's half Christmas and we're playing Christmas music on this channel. I'm like, oh yeah, it is kind of half Christmas. And But we do enjoy it. And here's the thing. And this is the weird thing, what I don't think a lot of people recognize is, while they're in direct competition in a lot of ways, the fact that Amazon's big also in some ways helps eBay, right? And I used to say this about Disneyland because I worked at Knott's Berry Farm when I was younger, like really young. This was one of my first jobs. Like, I'm training and doing stuff, and it was like, I'm still in high school. I'm in 10th grade, and I'm working at Knott's Berry Farm. And then, it was interesting because Knott's Berry Farm, for those of you guys don't know, is a big amusement park-ish, and it's not too far from Anaheim. They're in Buena Park, and it's a great place. It's been around for much longer than Disney has. But they count on Disney for their business because people will come and they will spend time at Disney, but they want to do other things. And so in weird ways, they piggyback off each other. And it's the same thing. I mean, eBay's like, okay, let's piggyback off of them. Great opportunity. And it's 2 days Amazon Prime this year. 2 days. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. On top of all of that, we got a Twitter issue when it comes to certain things, in particular, what's going on with politicians.
Tweets by politicians that Twitter deems to be in the public interest, but which violate Twitter rules, will now be blocked by a warning telling viewers of the violation. Users will then have to tap through that warning to see the tweet. The new Twitter policy will apply to major political figures who have over 100,000 followers, whereas other Twitter users who violate posting rules will get blocked. The new policy is you'll still be able to see the politicians' tweets, but only after clearing through the warning.
By the way, producer Phil, you find this funny. So last night, Jim Kennedy, our buddy at Kennedy Institute of Public Policy, just tweeted the hell out of stuff, and then all of a sudden it just died. He's like, I've been suspended. I'm like, Jim. He's like, it just doesn't work. They don't like me. I'm like, Jim. Yeah, it is. The whole social media thing at times it can be confusing as hell, because what you think might be funny or what you think is innocuous turns out to be something that violated, and even when you read their policies, and that's the frustration that people have, is you read the policies and they're not always crystal clear. Right? And that's and I get the frustration. So now politicians can put it out there, but we have to click through a warning. So we have to, it's like, like when you go watch a television show, some of this may contain adult language, sexuality, blah, blah, TVM 14. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, tweet at us. Wounded Paw Project is amazing. I want you to write this down. woundedpawproject.org. You're going to want to go there and check out what they're doing that is changing lives, not only lives of our soldiers, our first responders and their families, but dogs who would otherwise be euthanized. They rescue them and train them to be service animals, and they really do something that's amazing. But they need your help because they're growing fast. 20 soldiers a day, 20 veterans are committing suicide on average. And they want to stop that. And an animal, somebody who can be not only your companion, but somebody who's there for you in so many ways, is so big. But they need your help. They do. It's expensive training these animals, but it is so rewarding. They need your truck, your RV, your boat, whatever you have that you're not using, even your cash. If you've got cash, maybe you're like, I don't have that, but I got a few bucks, they'll take it. Check them out for yourself at woundedpawproject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729. You're going to save a paw to save a life. Woundedpawproject.org. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say
Well, one of Japan's closest neighbors is Russia, and that's where this incredible survival story comes from. A Russian man in Siberia was mauled by a brown bear, then dragged back to its den to be kept for later like a plate of leftovers. He was suffering from a broken spine, and yet he managed to stay alive for a month, apparently without food or water, until he was found by a group of hunters who rescued him. He's now in a hospital recovering.
All right, so big question is this true or not true? Well, it looks to be like this is actually a true story. A man inside of a bear cave. Very interesting. In fact, Tucker and everybody else are really interested because if you've seen the guy, and I don't know if you guys have seen the guy, but I will tell you this right now. It's the stuff of nightmares. Right? It is creepy.
Dr. Mark Siegel is Fox's medical correspondent. He joins us tonight. Doctor, does this...
Hi, Tucker.
I mean, it's one of these stories that you want to believe is true. As a matter of human physiology, is it possible? Could this be true?
You know, it's possible under the following circumstances. First of all, brown bears do not usually drag humans anywhere. Humans are not their prey. But if he attacked the cubs or he put the cubs at risk, the bear might get angry. And those brown bears do sometimes store food, and they wait for a while till the food decomposes, and then they eat it. So it's possible he would be in this cave for a month.
A month. Let's think about that for a second. A month hanging out. Question is, you know, how does somebody survive that? And because a lot of people are disputing his story. Look, I don't care if it was 2 weeks or a month or whatever. If you see the dude, you're like, sweet mamma jamma, what a mess.
He can survive without food, Tucker. You can survive weeks and weeks without food. Mahatma Gandhi survived on a fast for 21 days without food. You need water, though, and you're not going to survive by drinking urine the way he says he did. That's the part of the story I don't believe, because urine is very salty. It's going to make you more dehydrated. You could survive with the broken bones. You might look like that because areas of your skin are going to slough off from insufficient blood flow. The body will protect its vital organs, and blood and glucose and oxygen goes to the vital organs.
Now, this is the interesting part about not only how he could have got water, but because of the weather.
But here's how you could survive. If you were drinking from the rock icicles in the cave, if the water that was dripping down in the cave, it has minerals in it, and if you're drinking that, you could survive, and it's cold there. Now, Tuva, which is near Mongolia, is about 27, 28 degrees. The colder it is, the more likely you might survive because your organs stay alive longer, including your brain. I think it's possible. I think it's plausible, but not the urine part of this. You'd have to get water somehow. If he got water, he could survive.
Ooh, don't mess with the bear, is all you got to say. And yes, bears will store, so will crocodiles and gators. They will store as well. That's what they love to do. They take it, they stuff it down. They wait till you get big and plump and gnarly. Then they go bite it, and it's just like you're tender and just slide right off the bone. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, my Lord. It's going to be an interesting one. Who will prevail in the battle and free-for-all? The melee in Miami. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Senator Klobuchar, let me put the question to you. You're one of the Democrats who wants to keep private insurance in addition to a government health care plan. Why is an incremental approach, in your view, better than a sweeping overhaul?
Well, I think it's a bold approach. It's something that Barack Obama wanted to do when we were working on the Affordable Care Act, and that is a public option. I am just simply concerned about kicking half of America off of their health insurance in 4 years, which is exactly what this bill says.
Amy Klobuchar last night, and let's talk about real stuff. So between the pandering, there were a few things that Americans would be like, whatever you guys, hold on, here's something to talk about. So you got the first 10 on stage, and again, I don't think anybody last night did anything that was amazing and stood out. Elizabeth Warren didn't lose. Joe Biden, who wasn't on stage, did win. President Trump won. But everybody else kind of meandered, and it wasn't a great setting. You've got 10 people. but nobody dominated. Nobody stood out, and you need to stand out. Think about this. The field is crowded, so you better get above this field early or you're going to be left behind. So you better figure something out. And insurance is one of those things. I'm a big proponent of public-private option, right? Because let's be real. We've got Medicare, right? We've got Medicaid. States have their own thing. At some point in time, give people the private-public option. Give them the private. I've got zero problem with that. Let's figure it out, right? If you're willing to pay more, and again, the private-public option doesn't mean you just pay a little bit more in taxes and that's it. You're going to have to pay co-pays. You're going to do something just like everything else, but your insurer will be the government, which is what they want. And how many people are going to want to ditch their private insurance? Because you're also going to be captive in certain areas and groups comparatively to people who have private insurance. What Warren and a lot of other people don't want is they don't want that kind of competition. They want full control.
So, yes, I'm with Bernie on Medicare for all. And let me tell you why. I spent a big chunk of my life studying why families go broke. And one of the number one reasons is the cost of health care, medical bills. And that's not just for people who don't have insurance. It's for people who have insurance. There are a lot of politicians who say, oh, it's just not possible. We just can't do it. Have a lot of political reasons for this. What they're really telling you is they just won't fight for it. Well, health care is a basic human right, and I will fight for basic human rights.
So she doesn't want. She wants the control of the government, and I don't. And I just don't. And here's the thing, too. What you're going to find is people will figure out a way around the system. What are you going to make medical care illegal? They'll figure out a way to make it harder. But if they take full control, a lot of doctors are going to opt out. You're going to find out that they're going to have to ration because it's just going to be supply and demand. Too much demand, not enough supply as far as doctors, nurses, and medical care. You'll find out instead of seeing a doctor more often than not, you're only going to be able to see a nurse practitioner or something like, which isn't a bad thing. But what you're going to find is along the way, it's going to get tougher and tougher. Having lived in Europe, having been through it, I got frustrated on more than a few occasions. Private, public. I give people a choice. That's it. You know, it's funny. They want to fight for choice for a lot of things, but not in a lot of things that you would do as an individual. I choose this. I choose to stay on my healthcare plan at work. Why? Because I'll pay a little bit more to have options, to be able to do things that other people in the public sphere may not be able to do. And if they do it, it'll take longer to do. And maybe, just maybe, the care may be better, but it may not be better.
Congressman O'Rourke, when you ran for Senate, you also praised a bill that would replace private insurance. This year, you're saying you're no longer sure. Can you explain why?
Getting to guaranteed, high-quality, universal health care as quickly and surely as possible has to be our goal. Our plan says that if you're uninsured, we enroll you in Medicare. If you're insufficiently insured, you can't afford your premiums, we enroll you in Medicare. But if you're a member of a union that negotiated for a health care plan that you like because it works for you and your family, you're able to keep it. We preserve choice by making sure that everybody has health care.
Time is up, Congressman, but I do want to ask a follow-up on this one. Just to be very clear, I'll give you 10 seconds. Would you replace private insurance?
No, I think that choice is fundamental to our ability to...
Yeah, see? And I like that. Choice. That's it. That's all. I think that's all that a lot of people are asking for. Because government's involved. And I said once Obamacare came along, government was going to be involved. Forever now. To the point where it wasn't just Medicare and Medicaid. They're involved now. They're in this. And they're not going to get out. They're not going to unwind it. So let's make sure we protect our opportunity to have choice. And I know some people that are all about, you know what, they're at the point where even though they want private health care, they're at the point where they're so frustrated with the way that things have gone and the bureaucracy and stuff. I know people out there that they would say, you know what, I'm just going to opt into what the government's giving me because I'm over it. And I get that too. They made it more convoluted and frustrating, and it's ridiculous. This is the things that Americans talk about. Right? These are the things that Americans discuss. health care. Last night, the pandering and the speaking in Spanish. And by the way, if you're a black American, if you're somebody who's sitting there watching this last night, you're a person of color. And in many of them who've just basically sold their soul to the Democratic Party and said, you know what, you don't even have to do anything you promised me. I'm always going to give you my vote. You watched that last night and you said, what? And we're talking to me. They were talking to another demographic that surpassed us, that they want. And we're talking to me at all. And that's something right there that I said, you got to think about that. You got to think about that. And this is, and here's the failure of the Republican Party. To go and win those votes, to get into the urban areas and win those votes, to go in there and say 50 plus years, you have basically said, hey, I'm with the Democrats, and it's not gotten you to the place you need to be. And in many cases, it's worse than it was. And now you watch them, and what are they doing? They're not talking to you anymore because you've gone from important to not as important as you used to be because somebody else is now more important because of what? Because we're going to break everything down to identity politics, use the analytics and realize there's more Latin voters now than African-American voters. So, frustrating. Hell yeah. 110%. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love talking to everybody. I try to answer everybody as much as possible. Trump was dealt a blow today when it came to the census.
The Commerce Department has the right to include a citizenship question, but the Supreme Court said the department failed to adequately explain why. The court said there needed to be genuine justifications and found the stated rationale that the Justice Department requested the question to better enforce the Voting Rights Act to have been contrived. The administration could try again, but the census forms are supposed to be printed within days, so including the question appears infeasible.
Now, Trump has come out and said we may delay the census because it's not over. It'll be appealed, and they may have to give them more information. I'm one of these people. I want to know who's here. I want to know who's here. And again, it's not an exact science because not even if there's no question about citizenship, you're still not going to get everybody to answer it honestly. But it gives us a better idea. And remember, it was on there 50 years ago. So it's not like something that's just, we've never had this before. No, it was on there 50 years ago. Wouldn't you like to know? I would like to know. Some people wouldn't like to know, apparently. And I always think that this is the rationale from the left. It's about what? It's about voter suppression. It's about racism because it's just so easy to say stuff like that. If you ask somebody to get an ID, oh my God, that's voter suppression. You have to have an ID and prove where you live to get a library card. To check out a book in a library. It's bizarre, but there's always some sort of, well, you got to understand something, Chad. It's voter suppression right there. Voter suppression. That's this, that's that. No, I have no problem with it. Again, we're not going to get an exact number because of the fluctuation on a daily basis and kids that are being born and people that are dying and all of those things. It's a guesstimation, and it's the best that we can do at this moment in time. And you're also going to get people that do what? Lie. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. And, of course, the immigration debate is still raging on, especially when it comes to kids and that horrific picture of the father and the child that had died. There was other people that had died just days before in the Rio Grande, and they're running ads in Mexico saying, look, the currents are bad. You must be careful. People have died there forever, right? The people have drowned there for a very long time, but this sparked it. And then you've got the facilities and what's going on in the facilities.
I'm here at the Clint Border Patrol facility right outside of El Paso, and This place has been likened to a torture facility. What we saw inside is not that. It's basically like a jail of a small town, right? So there's a central common area, and there are cells radiating out from it. About 8 or 9 of them. Then there's a holding pen that was the sally port of the Border Patrol station that houses the boys. The kids can roam between the cells. They have access to soap, to toothbrushes, toothpaste, showers. Is it a place I'd like to be in? Absolutely not.
No. It's not a place anybody would like to be in. It's not. And when we hear the whole separation thing, too, this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot when it comes to immigration, is some of these kids are here, and they were sent here, and they're separated when mom and dad or whoever had them decided that this was the place they need to be. We always forget that. Mom and dad separated them. Not all of them, but there's a portion of that. We need to figure out a way to do this better. Let's be honest here. And they're getting they say about 800 calories a day, which is not enough. Maybe 1,000 at best. They're getting 3 meals, but it's not a lot. Other people are disputing that, saying, hey, man, have you seen some of these facilities? They're stockpile. It looks like a Costco. So, but this is something that, should we have anticipated this, or should we not have anticipated this? That's a very fair question. But we're trying to set up facilities at 1,000 miles an hour, and we're asking people who are working in different situations to essentially run things that they're not equipped to do. We need to do a better job, and this is also a very governmental thing where we need to be forward-thinking, and we're not. We're reactionary. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Blink Home Security. It's amazing. It's not just home security, too. I find it to be interesting because I have a Blink smartphone app, and I have several giant lizards, and I've got more than a few Blink cameras around. So I like to and several of my friends who are big lizard breeders have them as well, because it's good to go on and see what's going on in the cages and stuff, especially, just because. I mean, it's just neat to monitor what's going on inside the house. You never know, especially Winston, my big lizard, what he's getting up to. But as far as protecting your house, man, it is so amazing. The XT2 cameras, they're motion detective, so they're outside. Your camera will get an alert, right? It goes right to your Blink smartphone app. You can get a video clip right then and there. And they've got a two-way talk feature. So if it's the kids coming home, somebody delivering their package, you can talk to them. And if it's somebody that's not a good person, you can also talk to them and say, you need to get away. Easy to set up. So easy, wire-free, sets up in no time at all. Couple AA lithium batteries last you a couple years. It really is awesome. And the Blink XT2 cameras start under $100. No contracts, totally affordable. Thanks to Blink Home Security, just got easier. Visit blinkprotect.com/Benson. That's blinkprotect.com/Benson. Blinkprotect.com/Benson. Blink cameras are available at Amazon and at Best Buy. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
The Supreme Court has always shown a reluctance to get involved in this. They don't want to get into the politics of judging when drawing a certain boundary is or isn't too partisan. I think that's the way we will likely see this court decide here. They will stay out of it, but there is a chance, this is the biggest chance in a generation for the court to weigh in and set a standard, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, so gerrymandering, they said, no. Nah, as far as that goes, we're going to say we're going to stay away. We're going to let you guys draw your own. We don't want to be involved in this. So both Democrats and Republicans argue all the time about gerrymandering. One side blames the other side. But if you don't know gerrymandering, basically you get to draw your own areas when it comes to voting. So what does that do? It builds your fiefdom so you can control power. You can lock some people out or split enough of them up knowing you've got enough vote to win here. But and that's how you control the power. And the parties do it rather than an independent group. So, which is, once again, understand what Politics is all about holding serve. Meaning, If you play tennis, you want to win. You want to break their serve, meaning you want to win at least 1 or 2 games somebody's serving. And for you want to make sure you hold serve. You win your serve. And it's the same thing. You want to win. Hopefully you'll surprise somewhere, but you want to maintain. And how do you best maintain? You draw up the rules of the game in your favor. Hence the reason we have 49 states that are one party and 1 state that is bi-party, if you will. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. You know, one of the questions last night that was asked was about Donald Trump, and I think it was Tim Reiner. Somebody said, and somebody tweeted in about it, that, hey, about impeachment. He's like, nobody in America cares about it. I just wish somebody would have said, look, I'm not here to talk about Donald Trump. I don't care about Donald Trump. I care about America and me trying to get through this and the policies I'd like to see America run on and do. I don't care about Donald Trump. I'm not here to talk about him. And I know people say, well, they had to throw that in. Why did they have to throw that in? They didn't. It's not your job. Your job is you're running to be the candidate, then to be the president. Not about Donald Trump. 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Who is this economy really working for? It's doing great for a thinner and thinner slice at the top. It's doing great for giant drug companies. It's just not doing great for people who are trying to get a prescription filled. It's doing great for people who want to invest in private prisons, just not for the African Americans and Latinx whose families are torn apart, whose lives are destroyed. It's doing great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere, just not for the rest of us who are watching climate change bear down upon us.
Bear down upon us. Climate change was a big hit last night, right? Climate change. And there's a new poll from Reuters and Ipsos, and it's very interesting. Like everything, like a lot of these progressive ideas seem really popular. But then you break it down, and the popularity drops off exponentially, because if somebody else is paying for it, that is great, right? You're going to order food in a much different way a lot of times if you say, hey, we're all going to dinner. And you're like, I really don't have a lot of money. I'd like to go. Sounds great. And then you go, and then you order, well, I've got enough to afford this. And so you get something a little bit small, right? And then your friend's like, don't worry about it. I'm paying for it. Then you're like, well, bring me the ribs and dessert. And much different. So the new poll says 70% of independents, Republicans, Democrats across the board. So 70% like the idea of doing something with green energy and climate change, but they don't like the idea of paying for it. They said they would spend $100 a year, about 30 cents a day. That's about what they can afford. Because when it's other people's money, it sounds wonderful, right? Let's raise taxes. Yeah, let's totally raise taxes. That's great. We'll pay for all this stuff, but we're going to raise your taxes too. Well, hold on. Hold on. I didn't say that. I said them, not me. Right? But what about, no. Them. Not me. And that's the frustration I think a lot of people have. I look at it and say, I want a cleaner world. Good God, I do. I want my kids. I want to get to and my nieces, my nephews, and hopefully when grandkids and all this stuff. I want them to grow up in a planet that is amazing. I'm going to leave it in a better situation than we have it. More forward thinking, cleaner, and all of those things. But what I don't want is us to go bankrupt. Us to fall further and further behind. Us to be the only ones rowing Well, everybody, you're in front. You're just, man, it feels like I'm the only one doing and you turn around, you're like, oh, because nobody else is. They said they were. They're sitting there. They got the rose in their hands, but they're not moving them. So, yeah, cleaner energy sounds great. Let's put money into it. But let's be smart about it. Let's not bankrupt. And remember, and so many times, and this is what I tell all the people that cheer for a lot of this stuff are people that don't understand the people at the bottom, right? And these are the unforeseen circumstances and consequences in situations like this. They're the ones who can afford it the least that pay the heaviest price. They're not driving a Tesla. So a $12 light bulb's not a big deal. Right? They're not. Those are the little things. More expensive for day-to-day things costs them and hurts them a lot more. So when you say, let's do this, this, and this, and we're going to raise taxes, but we're going to also have to do something else, we're going to have to add this, that add this is the thing that really hurts people. The value-added tax. You want to know how they pay for a lot of things in Europe that everybody's clamoring to be more like? They have VAT, value-added tax. So you're paying 25% tax on top of whatever things you're paying for in your goods. So do you think states are going to give up their sales tax? Hell no. So you see something that's $100, there may be a 25% tax on that for a federal, and there might be 10%. So it's $135. You make $150,000 a year, you're living pretty good. It sucks, but yeah, I'll pay it. You making $35,000 a year, you feel it. You do. How do we make it cleaner? How do we get to a better situation where, hey, we're not destroying everything because we want to feel great about ourselves? Which is, I think, a lot of what happens when we get into this debate about climate change. If we did everything that a lot of these people would love to do, like Jay Inslee, if we did that, we would transform ourselves overnight, and it wouldn't be good. These things take time, absolutely. But I'd rather have responsible, real, consistent energy that we can count on than a lot of these other things that are out there that, I mean, we have less than 1% of the cars on the road are the quote unquote, electric cars. So think about that for a second. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do like hearing from every single one of you. This made me laugh every once in a while. And Phil and I have been talking all day about Phil and I have been, what was your thing about we talk about conspiracy? Because we always joke we should start total conspiracy theory because it's just funny, right? You just take something that may have a hint of some truth and then you could blow it out of water. And what'd you say about flat Earth? You said you've got one thing that'll tell you that the world's flat.
It's called sea level, Chad, not sea curve.
Boom. So check this out. I got a little conspiracy. I got a little weirdness here. This is a haunted museum. Haunted. Whoa. Do ghosts exist?
Video recorded Friday inside of the Zach Baggins Haunted Museum shows a woman faint just moments after she was touched by a mysterious flying object.
She literally hit her head right about here and slid down the cabinet.
Let's slow it down so you can get a good look at what appears to be a little ball of light zip through.
Yeah, so you see these things zip through, right? And they always say orbs. It's an orb. It's an orb. It's an orb. I'm telling you, it's the beauty of conspiracies. They're just fun, whatever they are. Mysteries, things we can't explain. Bigfoot, Nessie, ghost. Are they real? Are they not real? Of course. We have it in us to want to totally disprove, and at the same time, there's always a little something in there that kind of wants to believe. Not everybody. There's a few people who are skeptical, but everybody wants to leave the door open a little bit of the, maybe. You just never know. Right? You just never know. So you see this little orb and you see this lady. It looks like she was going down for the count. It's in black and white too. She's tipping over.
Zach Baggins and his crew say there's no doubt in their mind that what you see in this video is a spirit.
The spirit orb. Now, spirits can manifest in these orbs of light. A lot of times when spirit touches you, they can drain your energy, and it can happen quite quickly. And when that happens, you literally can go down.
Down. And she did. She did. She went down. So they talked to a bunch of people outside who are trying to get into this place, because, hey, here it is. What do you think?
We showed the video to people lining up to tour the museum.
I don't know what that is. What do you think? A spirit? A ghost? Hopefully not a spirit.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. There's a lot of energies in there. It could be anything.
And although the video raised some questions for those preparing to walk the haunted hallways, it wasn't enough to stop them from heading in and seeing for themselves.
Now seeing that video, are you having some second thoughts?
Yep. Still want to go in? All right. Looks like we're still doing it.
Absolutely. Totally. Because we want to believe, don't we? In a weird way. Something else. Something bigger. Something different. It's all conspiracy. Conspiracy. Deep state. Deep state. Conspiracy. Producer Phil read me the greatest deep state conspiracy about Iran about 15 minutes ago. We were talking about it. It was so absurd. And people buy into it because people want to believe. People want to believe there's aliens. People want to believe there's stuff. People want to believe there's things out there. That's why yesterday we were talking about that guy who said, look, data doesn't matter to people. Stories do. And that's what stories, again, you tell us, you're a great storyteller. You're entertaining. You're interesting. So one thing I said when Trump ran originally, I said that first night, you know what Trump is compared to everybody else? He's interesting. Last night, there was nobody that's interesting. And whether we want to believe it or not, and it's all about policy, and it's all about being nice, and it's all about this, and it's all about that, the fact is we're still a cult of personality. And Trump taps into that because he's interesting. You're going to watch. You're going to listen. I remember, Stern being one of the great broadcasters of all time. And if you watch the movie, what was the name of this movie? I forgot. It was a book. It was a famous book, Phil. Private Parts. When Pig Vomit. And then we're talking about like when they got his ratings, and his ratings were through the roof. And he's like, they were just insane. And they said, oh my God, listen to this. This is how long people listen to him like him. And then they said, this is how long people who hate him listening to. And it was almost double. And the reason is because it's still interesting, right? You get sucked into it. And Trump is one of those people who tells stories. And that's why the cult of personality, you watched last night, that cult of personality is going to be a big thing because on stage, you can hide some of your weaknesses in a group of 10. You can't hide it when it's one-on-one. And based on what I saw last night, it's going to be tough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. I do. I try to get back to each and every one of us. I posted a picture a little while ago and Phil and I have been looking around for it because I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch any of these things unless there's something that's breaking and things of that nature. And I tend to go to as many sites to try to verify stuff. So somebody posted a picture of, and we joked about it was yesterday about Ocasio-Cortez and her white outfit and the tears, and we were joking about it, like being at the detention center. And I said, I posted a picture as perspective is everything, because there was a bunch of people that took photographs around the people that were there and her breaking down in tears. And then when you're behind her and you see it, the thing behind the fence, essentially, that you can see is nothing but an empty parking lot. And I just thought, there you go. Perspective. I posted that. Check it out at Twitter. Lightstream is amazing. Last night they were talking about all kinds of things. And one of the things to talk about is the economy and things of that nature and debt. And oh my God, let me tell you something. Credit card debt is massive. And so many of you out there are paying way more than you need to because you've got 19% APR. That's the average APR in America. Lightstream said, hey, get a credit card consolidation loan from us. It's 5.95% APR with autopay. And it's simple. No fees, no prepayment penalties. They're going to treat you amazing. They are incredible. In fact, if you apply today, in many cases, you may get the money the same day you apply. That is incredible. And they treat my listeners right. How about this? A special interest rate discount. All you have to do is head to lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson. Again, they're going to treat you amazing and you're going to save money. Subject to credit rate approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
Well, I think sometimes with the debate stage this big, it can kind of seem like a high school classroom. And so there are some folks that, didn't seem like they read the book, and then they got called on. So they'll answer the question, or they'll get called on. And I don't think some candidates thought that they were going to get called on a certain question. And then they'll be like, yes, the hero was courageous and the protagonist of the story.
AOC, they asked her last night. I got to be honest with you, I thought it was kind of funny. I heard people hammering her. I just thought it was funny. She's right. It's like some people didn't. You don't know supposedly you're supposed to know what the questions are going to be, in a sense, because as the debates, especially as they go on, we're going to focus this one more on healthcare because they want to start narrowing things down. Last night was a little bit different. And then you also, and this is so important, and this is important in sports sometimes in a lot of ways, is who's the person that's refereeing the game? Who are the moderators? Because Chuck Todd's getting destroyed. He's just getting beat down for being like the worst. And it's that's vitally important because not only do you rein them in, and you also can help in the second question and lead them in certain directions, which is important because we don't get a lot of questions answered because they're too busy starting to answer because they wanted that question. But you're giving me something else. So I'm going to answer the question you gave them, and then I'll try to answer the question you gave me. No, you've got to I wish they should give them an opportunity to shut their microphones off. How cool would that be, right? Like, I ask you a question, you go in a different direction, I shut your microphone off, and if you're not going to answer that question, we'll move on. Bet you they'd start answering questions. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Producer Phil, remind everybody again about that whole nature thing.
Nature will mess you up.
Will mess you up. California lady, young, 21 years old. Horrible, horrible situation.
New information this morning about a deadly shark attack in the Bahamas. Police say Jordan Lindsay was snorkeling with her family when she was bitten by 3 sharks. CNN's Rosa Flores live with the very latest for us. Rosa, 3 sharks?
Yeah, 3 sharks. And I was trying to figure out, the Bahamas has certain species. They got lemon shark, but they've got oceanic white tips, and they have tigers as well as the great hammerhead. And chances are it was probably oceanic white tips. And if you ask sailors, going back through the days of yore, what's the shark that scares them the most? The bull's the most aggressive. But the oceanic white tip sharks have probably killed more people than all of them combined because when there's a shipwreck or something like that, they come and they school the Indianapolis, the famous one, and she was attacked and killed and in front of her family, which is just, my goodness.
The attack happened at about 2 p.m. while Lindsay was snorkeling with her family, and that her family actually tried to warn her about the sharks, but that Lindsay could not hear. And
yeah, couldn't hear. Underwater, snorkeling, having a good time. Sharks came. They bit her in the butt. They bit her legs, and they attacked. And part of the problem is, too, is because a lot of these places have shark dives. And so they chum to bring the sharks in so you can look at them. And in doing that, you get them and they become less worried about you. And they're interested in maybe that you have something. And that's not good either. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I want to put it in perspective, though, because you're hearing all the time about shark attacks, this, that, and the other. 150 people will die this year, not from shark, but from falling coconuts. Soak that in for a second. Maybe 15 people will die from shark attacks, and that's a maybe. So there's your useless knowledge of the day. Have a great rest of your day. Debate night, too. Let's see how this thing goes. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.